Okay, prep for fall equinox. I really am not exactly sure what's going to happen for this upcoming fall equinox. As I've mentioned in other videos leading up to this, and really since the beginning of my channel, I have always had doubts about the straight line method. And that method seemed to be a big player this spring, and I've always asked to try and find clarification on where that method came from. But so anyway, there's a lot to say, but in a nutshell, there's just so much that's been going on lately. Realizing that modern science is claiming the seasons are not equal. I recommend you checking out my video about that question about are the seasons equal, and I looked at some data from modern science. And if you want to watch my other video, the summary from the summer solstice, the last video, I explained what all these numbers mean. But essentially, I took a whole bunch of data from timeanddate.com and was comparing times, and it looked like they were saying it takes the seasonal cycle 365.24 days to complete, so I just divided that by 4, and that's the average. And then I was looking at the time between seasons and stuff, and it looked like from solstice to solstice was very close to the correct length of what the seasons should be. But from equinox to equinox, it was looking like something is wrong. They're almost like 2 minutes off. And I think that might be because of what's going on with this equinox event. I'm going to have a link at the end of this video for another video I did, I think in 2018, about the spring equinox, and it'll have a picture of like a hand sketch showing a couple curves on it. It's about 30 minutes long, but in that video I discuss all my concerns about the straight line method and how I think it's possible it might only be accurate over the equator. But I mean, all these other methods too, like for example, sighting it on the North Star. I'm going to do a short video showing that the North Star does move. There might be a way around that if you kind of pick the center point of the little circle it does. But still, the question is, why does that angle guarantee that it's going to confirm the equinox event? Like, who said that? Like, if I read Enoch, it seems to say, the only main criteria is that we have equal light and darkness, and that's the equilux event, and the only way we can confirm that is confirming when the equinox event happened at the equinox, I think, and then it would be that day that applies for everybody. But then again, there's another method where, people are measuring the angle of the sun, and again, modern science might say, yes, the equinox happens when you see the sun hit this angle, but what is that based off of? Like, why are they picking that angle? And modern science does the sidereal day stuff and like reference with it's referencing the stars, which are moving at a different speed than the sun apparently, and I'm going to do more videos in Stellarium showing that. It's really interesting stuff I've been noticing lately. And then the moon, that's an interesting thing to see what Enoch says about the moon setting with the sun or rising with the sun in the third and fourth portal. So it looked like that happened this past spring. And I think some people were thinking it was going to happen again this fall. I took a quick peek in Stellarium, and it does not seem that the moon is going to line up with the sun again. It looks like it did for the spring in Stellarium, but it doesn't look like it's going to do it this fall. But maybe Stellarium programming is wrong. I'll do a short video showing that. I'm going to be out trying to confirm what the moon is doing this fall. I know others, I think, are going to do that as well, so we'll see. But really, I mean, it was a big game changer to hear even modern science saying the seasons aren't equal, and it's just like, I mean, doesn't that throw a huge monkey wrench in all these solar calendars out there? I mean, can't believe that. And I don't think it's true. I mean, it's a complicated matter, but and if you look at the numbers, like I said, these numbers, if you just look into that more, I think it's possible they have the solstices correct. Like, you can't really mess that up. Like, the sun is going to hit an extreme position and start to return. Everyone's going to see that. There's no question about it. But when they're picking a middle point to determine the equinox events, I think there's a lot of different ways you could go right or left of the actual equinox event. And like I said, the only criteria that Enoch gave was equal light and darkness. And the equinox event the equilux, as opposed to the equinox event, is a variable event. The equilux event happens on many different days depending on what your longitude is. I think that's the one that goes north to south. So I mean, it would have to be the day that you see the equilux at the equator, and that would apply for everyone. And I just don't know. I've always had doubts about the straight line method, but hey, it might work out. Maybe Enoch is wrong somehow. We'll figure this out. But I mean, this past summer solstice was, I think, potentially thoroughly confirmed. And I mean, there's never been a doubt in my mind about the solstice being a much more accurate event. You'll see from the very beginning of my series, I have a playlist on my channel dedicated to making observations of the heavenly luminaries, and from the very beginning you'll see me saying it just makes more sense to look at the solstice, because there's no question about that. And I just don't understand how we're picking a day for the equinox. And if you look at modern science, like I said, they're saying the seasons aren't equal, and that's just because they have all this different criteria and stuff. But I think it's possible the seasons are equal, and I think it's possible there's an answer for all this. But long story short, if you wanna, what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be doing this again. Hopefully the people who participated for the summer solstice will participate again. But if you're interested in making observations of the sun, moon, or the stars, join this study, and we'll find a way to compile everyone's data and share it with truth seekers, and then we can all kind of analyze the data from there. And you know, if we're on different calendars still, I mean, that's fine. But I really think the more data like this we collect, it's going to unite us more, I think, because we're going to find out what those luminaries are doing, and it will become clearer how his times work. So, like I said, stay tuned. I'll be rallying the troops. I'll be sending out emails. If you want to email me to join this effort, go ahead, and my email is this one at the top here, voiceoftruthandlove@gmail.com. Let me know you would like to participate, and I'll just keep you posted. And stay tuned for other videos. Like I said, I'm just going to be firing out a bunch of short videos, kind of bringing up some interesting points. And maybe I'll come out with another prep for fall equinox, kind of talking more about what my different strategies are, the target dates. But like I said, this was the day I thought we confirmed the spring equinox on. This is the day I thought we saw the straight line method on, but I've questioned that. And I know we saw that phenomenal moon sign too, but I wonder if it's possible the moon sign was on the wrong bookend. Like, maybe we saw the moon sign here, but it could have been here, and so then the day following could have been adjacent to that moon sign. I don't know what's going on, but it does appear from this past summer that we confirmed in the USA that the summer solstice happened on 6/20/2019. So if you count 91 days from there, you land on the 19th of September. And I don't know if you're going to see the straight line pattern on this day. You might either see it over here, or I think Google was saying the spring equinox or the fall equinox was going to happen somewhere in here. And so, I mean, really, I'm going to be looking more into it. We're going to study it, but I've said it for a long time. If you've seen my other videos, and I've said the only way we can be sure when the spring equinox is is if we confirm when the solstice events happen and then pick the halfway point between the solstice event, and that should be the equinox, and we should look to see what the luminaries are doing on that day. But other than that, we'll just have to see. Go ahead and do the straight line method. I hope everyone who's going to participate will try the straight line method, because we can still answer some other very important questions. Questions such as like where time begins. Like if you've seen this, I have a video on my channel called Where Time Begins, and it's a study I did in Stellarium, and there's the long and short version where you can understand all the numbers and effort that went into this. But it just seems the international dateline is something that man made for practical convenience, and I understand that, but that is not the creator's international dateline. And he has an international dateline that might jump, and this is what Stellarium says. I don't know if it's true, but I recently had a revelation about the simplicity of 365.25 or 0.24, and that doesn't necessarily mean that Enoch is wrong. There's something very interesting going on about stations versus days. Like everyone's so focused on chapter 74, but if you look at chapter 75 in Enoch, it talks about the luminaries rendering service on the 4 seasonal days, which is not reckoned with the reckoning of the year, and it has to do with this duration of a sign day, and it taking longer than 24 hours for everyone on Earth to have the opportunity to see a sign. But it could easily account for that difference, 365.24 versus 364 that Enoch talked about. That's still very much on the table. But the point is, the creator's international dateline, it seems the Gregorian calendar and Stellarium, the Gregorian calendar hasn't lost track of the seasons. And so I have a video that I posted recently where I am kind of expressing and explaining my epiphany about 365.24 simply being the duration of the seasons. And the seasons are created by the movement of the sun. They only happen because of the sun being close to us and the sun being far away from us. It moves north to south over the course of a year, and it seems like it takes 365.2 something days for the sun to complete its north-south cycle, and that is why you get this extra hop, because it takes an extra 25% of a day for the north-south cycle to complete itself. Like, I collected data of the winter solstice looking at the exact coordinate when the sun would hit that extreme coordinate, and it happened here one year, and it happened here the next year, here the next year, here the next year, and there's this accrual, this overplus, and it's has very, very much potential to do with what Enoch was talking about. So I feel like we're getting closer and closer. We need to do some more translational verification as well for consistency. But yeah, like I was saying, like Enoch says in chapter 75, it says specifically that the luminaries were rendering service on the 4 seasonal days. Extra service that wasn't reckoned with the reckoning of the year, so it seems very possible that that's what might be going on here. Yeah, I don't know. With regard to this upcoming fall equinox event, I'm not sure if it does progress, if it's going to make it over to here yet. I really don't know. So really my plan is I'm just going to collect data probably starting around here, so 18th, 17th, 16th, 15th maybe, and I'm going to collect probably all the way through to here for like a week or week and a half, and just see what happens. And if we get people want to do the straight line method, that's fine. We can still answer some very interesting questions about time from the straight line method. We can still potentially answer questions about how long the solar year is, depending. Where time begins is definitely a question we can answer, because everyone's going to come maybe see that. I don't know. there will be a second video, but I just want to put this out to start rallying the troops. Again, contact me if you have ideas. I'll put out another video that's going to have better suggestions. But look at the sun, use different methods, look at the moon, look at the stars, let's see what all the luminaries are doing, let's collect some data, and let's share it and analyze it and see what we can come up with. So I guess that's it for now. Stay tuned for other videos, short to the point videos that I'll be kind of exposing some stuff just as food for thought, and we'll see what we come up with. Shalom, and may Allah bless if you continually seek out His truth and love with a pure heart.